Hey guys, Jim here. Time to do something really cool. If you go way back in my channel to about actually almost exactly a year ago, I was able to give you a sneak peek months in advance before the original Division Flipper ever made it out to the public by showing the Division Flipper prototype. Now today I get that unique experience once again with the new Mini Division prototype, one of a few prototypes that Jason has. He was kind enough to get this sent out to me very quickly so I could get the word out and show you a real-world side-by-side comparison. Whether you own a Division or you've only handled the Division, you'll get a chance now to see how the new Mini version really stacks up. And I almost hesitate to call it a Mini. It's more of a mid-size. Mini, you're kind of thinking you're going to get something like the Bionic, which really is a Mini. It is a little tiny knife. Whereas the new Division is actually going to be more of a mid-size with a 3.5-inch blade. So I just kind of wanted to bring out my Brous family here and kind of have everybody side by side. And now it's time to kind of break away and get into the nitty-gritty of this. Now, for those that don't know, the pre-order is already open. They should be shipping sometime in the month of February. So if you go over to brousblades.com, you will be able to order your own Mini Division. So let's get these kind of side by side here, and you'll see immediately that there is a tremendous difference in the sizes just with the knives folded up. But you're also going to see a difference in the execution. Now, while the overall shape remains the same, it really is truly just a scaled down version of the Division. You'll see he went from carbon fiber into black G10. Some people are going to love that. Some people are going to bitch and whine that they're not getting carbon fiber. But the prices are so low that you have to understand something, had to give somewhere. You're looking at a knife that in the standard satin or the stone wash, which I have the satin here, you're going to be paying $300 for this knife. And it's about $30 more if you go for the blackout edition, where all the hardware is black, the blade is black. Really cool look. So let's take a look at these side by side. You guys remember this one, the prototype 4, the original Division. Very large knife, and some of the the most common comments that I got on that video was, "It's a big ass knife. I don't know if I can carry something that big." And I had many conversations with Jason about him making a smaller 3.5-inch version. Now, I'm not saying I'm the reason why he made it, but it is a discussion that we had almost immediately when I was playing with the prototype of this one. The action is remarkably similar. The blade is not quite as heavy, so it's not going to, drop down like the original Division did. That's a very large, very heavy blade. But you have that incredibly smooth action from Jason's proprietary bearing system that he uses. And you're going to be able to flip this either by light switching it, or if you want to preload it a bit and push button it, it's going to operate very well like that as well. Now, when we get them, I'll put them pivot to pivot because for some reason people like that. So here they are, lined up pivot to pivot, and you'll see the overall differences. Now, the overall length on this is only 8.3 inches, so it is a fairly small knife. And you got a 3/16 inch thick D2 steel blade, and he sticks with D2 for everything. And close length is about 5 inches, and the weight, there's a big difference in the weight. And really, the original Division was a lightweight knife for its size. This actually feels a little bit more substantial when you really compare them side by side, but it's still really, really, really lightweight. And again, everything is going to be the same, even the way he skeletonized the inner frames and everything. Just really, really well done. Give you some nice close-ups here. The Mini obviously being on the right. You see the lockup is nowhere near as late as, and again, you got to remember, this is a prototype, and the lockup was not that late on the production models. Let's give you an idea for it. My darn tripod always gets in the way for this. So if we put them kind of bolster to bolster, you'll see there's a big difference in the length of the blade. I apologize if that bumped the camera at all. Same standoff system. Same pocket clip, so we went back to that deep carry pocket clip, and you guys know I'm not a fan of that. But good news! There is a lanyard loop on the back, so if you have a hard time getting this thing out, you've always got the lanyard you can kind of use to pop it out of your pocket. So there is that saving grace. It is a very tiny opening, however, so you're going to have to take out the middle portion of any 550 paracord to get it through there. So it's going to be a limp cord. It's not going to be your standard lanyard. Now let's get the big boy out of the way and give you some nice close-up looks at this one. The G10 work on this is really nice. You're going to see the exact same contouring that was done on the carbon fiber of the original. The same kind of body line that goes all the way through. This same relief cut here. So when you're holding the knife, your fingers drop into it, and it gives you a little bit more control over the knife. It's not going to go twisting around in your hand under hard use. Now again, this really isn't a hard user type of knife. This is meant to be more of just a really, really great tactical flipper, something that you can carry with you every day, have fun with, play with it, flip it, show it off to your friends, do some basic cutting tasks, but you're not going to go out there and do any really hardcore work with this. Something like the Reloader is probably going to be a better bet for something like that, you know, thicker blade stock. And it just has a more substantial feel. This is a little bit more elegant when you get down to it. Very, very thin hollow grind on this, very high hollow grind. And here it is next to, and again, my tripod prevents me from getting it up any higher. Here it is right next to the Reloader. The Reloader is actually going to come out larger in the blade, but shorter in the handle. It's just the configuration of the knife. So if you have a Reloader, we'll give you the size comparison here. A lot of people got in on the Reloaders. Awesome, awesome knife. We're going to take them butt to butt, which is the way I prefer. You'll see that it is actually overall longer than the Reloader. When you get them closed up, and it's still going to be quite a bit longer. Now I do want to do the butt to butt against the original Division. And you'll see the cover shot that I used for this video is one of the images I shot for Jason. It'll give you another size comparison there as well. So you see, if you loved the look of the Division, you liked the ergonomics of it, the overall shape, the beauty, how that tip just gets so needle-like. You like the look of it, you like the action of it, but you just felt it was too big for you to carry on a daily basis. This, in my opinion, is going to be a wonderful option. It still feels fantastic in the hand. That little hump back there still ends up falling in pretty much the same place in your hand. Let's take a look at that. I'll flip open the other one. So we see where the hump basically ends up right here on, I guess the psychics call that your lifeline, don't they? So it's right up. The screw is very close to the lifeline there. And you'll see it actually falls in the exact same place. So you still get the same ergonomic feel that people have enjoyed with their Divisions, so you're not going to lose that. And your hand doesn't feel cramped. You have that exaggerated flipper tab that comes out in kind of this hook, and there can be pluses and minuses to that on certain knives because it restricts your hand from sitting up higher on the handle. Now remember, it is an angled handle, so you wouldn't want it up any further anyway. But does it feel cramped? No. You still got plenty of room back here. I wear a size large glove, so I've still got a fairly sizable hand. I don't have, you know, big bear paws or anything. So I've still got the same ergonomic feel in every grip. There's your reverse grip as well. Not crazy about that little hot spot there. If I were doing reverse grip a lot, that's going to be a little bit bothersome the way that clip comes out of the frame there. But you've got that nice jimping there, so you're going to have control with that finger. Overall, I think this is going to be a huge success. I think that the people that love and own the original Division are going to have this as a companion piece. It's going to end up kicking your main Division out of your pocket more often than not, though, because once you've carried this and you realize how much easier it is to carry. I mean, there are some jeans that I have that have shorter pockets that I couldn't carry the Division in. It would actually push it up where only like, you know, half of my clip was engaged, and I wasn't really a fan of that. It was, you know, I want to have a secure engagement on that pocket clip. Whereas this, I don't care how shallow your pockets may be, you know, you've only got 5 inches right here that you have to stuff inside of your pocket. That's not a big deal at all. Like I said, the construction is going to be the same. You do have some jimping back here. I don't know if the production divisions ended up getting jimping. I think they did. I just know that the prototype did not. So that's just what I'm accustomed to. So this may be, again, identical to the original. Same standoff hardware here. Same skeletonization inside of the liners. Very nicely done overall. Clean pass-through design. It's going to be easy to keep this thing clean. Use a compressed air can, blow out any dirt, gunk, garbage that accumulates in there from being in your pocket. And the flipping action is smooth and fast. And I think a lot of people that haven't had a chance to experience high-end knives got a great chance to experience the speed that Jason can make by getting the T4. The T4 was, you know, just a tremendously inexpensive knife, and yet he made this thing ridiculously smooth. This is still one of my favorite go-tos when I know I'm going to kind of maybe have a need to bang up my knife a little bit. I don't want to carry $1,000, $2,000 custom in my pocket. This is a great alternative, and I've got something that's fun to sit there and flip and play with. So if you haven't gotten a T4, I'm not sure if they're still available, but try and find one. This is a really, really great alternative. So you're also getting kind of an entry-level price here. Now, he's also able to cut back on the cost by producing more of these. His typical runs are going to be around 500 pieces. This, he's actually going to make 1,000 of. And here is the numbering system. Again, the numbering doesn't really come into play for this one being a prototype. This is the way he tests his numbering, but there is going to be 1,000 pieces made. I think it just flows well. It's also going to be a nice platform for modifying. Now, just like every other knife, I'm very certain that Jason will offer for an extra fee to give you different scales and do a different blade finish. Just be prepared to pay. When you looked at the Reloader when they came out, mine was the first ever that was modified by Jason, and it's still a one-off being the tight net black, tight honeycomb black C-Tech. You know, I paid nearly double for this knife in order to get the configuration that I wanted. He had to make custom hardware and do all kinds of crazy stuff because the C-Tech ended up being a lot different than the G10 that was being used on the standard pieces. So if you're willing to pay, you know, you can end up with something that is a one-off in pretty much everything that he makes. So if you're a G10 fan, you're going to love this. It's really smooth, so he's done a nice polishing job on it. Feels nice in the hand overall. It just depends on what kind of knife that you're really into. You know, I'm the kind, I'll buy in a lot of different categories. Sometimes a little bit more artistic, sometimes dressy, sometimes down and dirty, sometimes a flipper, sometimes a standard opening, maybe a dual action, maybe it's an automatic. I kind of buy in every segment, but I really stay particular to tactical style flippers. And this is obviously a tactical style flipper, and it's got some great stylistic flair. It's going to look good. When you pull this from your pocket, even while it remains closed, it's an attractive knife. To somebody that doesn't know anything at all about knives, they're going to be interested in it because it's different. Kind of looks like something from outer space. And then your buddies that are knife guys are going to love it too because it's a different kind of look. Not every knife out there is going to be shaped like this. Let's take a nice look at his D2 steel blade. As always, he does a really clean, nice satin. You know, nothing crazy and overdone. Please excuse the fact that, again, this is a prototype. It has been used, been thrown around in his shop, so there's a few scratches on it, but no big deal. I still love this cutout that he does here. It does give you a lot less weight in the blade. And he even finishes the inside of that cutout. Look how clean that is. Let me see if I can get the camera to focus on that. Focus, there we go. Nice clean look all the way through. Just does a fantastic job. Nice clean pivot, nice clean hardware that he's using. Nothing particularly fancy, but nothing particularly tool-like either. You are able to reverse your clip, by the way. You just simply flip this over from one side to the other, I do believe, because I know he did that with... I think he actually did that with the original Division too, so it should be a reversible clip from left to right. You're just going to switch these two pieces out. So there you have it. Hopefully you guys got all of your questions answered and got an idea of what it's really going to look like up against the original. Yeah, I mean, that is a big difference. You're going to feel the difference from the very first time that you pick it up and the very first time you put it in your pocket. In my opinion, it is a great EDC size. I love the original Division. It is a fantastic knife, but, you know, truth be told, there were times that I wasn't able to carry it just because of how friggin' huge it is. And you know what? There are a lot of states that have very restrictive knife laws that you can't carry a 4-inch or over blade at all, or maybe you have to have a concealed carry permit in order to do so. Here, you're falling into that 3.5-inch, which is a sweet spot for a lot of people. And I've carried a lot of different stuff, anything from a 3-inch to a 4.5-inch blade, and I tend to stay in that 3.5 to 3.75 inch. That's my sweet spot, and this falls right in that. It doesn't feel diminutive for the size that it is. Hold on one second. Let me grab a couple of my 3.5-inch knives and give you a comparison against those as well. Let's see, break out the old Pelican case here. Put it up against my Frank Fisher Archangel, and you will see that this actually plays off a lot larger. Same blade length, but this ends up coming out a little bit larger. Graham Razel Flipper. Another one where this is going to end up, it's more slender and it has a longer look to it. What else do I have in 3.5-inch? This might be a really big difference because the Rockstead always feels like a smaller knife than it really is. So there's some basic comparisons for you. I don't know if I have a 3.5-inch that ends up playing larger like this one does or not. Not that I can see off the top of my head here. So get the old case out of the way and get the Rockstead out of the shot here. So you've still got a handful. It's not going to look or feel like a tiny knife, but it doesn't present itself as something overly large. So again, great EDC size. This is going to be something that I think a lot of people are going to be very, very, very happy with when they receive them. I've already talked to a handful of friends that have already pre-ordered theirs, and they can't wait to get it. And none of the ones I've talked to yet currently own a Division. So this is going to be their first experience with a Division. And I got to tell you, you know, when I got the prototype last year, I didn't have a lot of really well-known flippers as far as, you know, knives that were known for being fantastic flippers. I was using like my Bodega, which is still a great flipper for comparison. And at that time, this was the smoothest and fastest flipper that I had ever held. Now, obviously, my collection has grown. My tastes have changed with that. And I've gotten R.J. Martins and other knives that are really known for being good flippers. And I still put that in the top tier of really smooth, wonderfully made flippers. And the Mini Division will fall into that realm as well. So if you can't spend $700, $900, $1,000 or more to get some of these more exotic flippers, but you still want to feel what a good flipping action is, this is going to be a really nice alternative for you. It's also going to be one of those pieces that you can carry and use guilt-free. Again, you know, a lot of guys that buy the higher-end custom knives that are spending $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 on a knife, they may not use it very often because, well, it's got investment value. You're paying $300 for this. That's still expensive for a lot of people, but the custom knife guys that are already spending a lot of money, this is going to be that daily alternative. They know they're going to be doing something where they're more than likely to have to use that blade and mar it up and dull it out and stuff like that. You know, why not do that with a $300 knife instead of your $1,500 knife? So I think all in all, Jason's got a real winner here. It's another home run. I don't see this taking very long to sell out at all. So make sure you go to brousblades.com, get your pre-order in. I guarantee you some of the big dealers like Blade HQ, they're going to get their hands on a big allotment of them as well. So he's going to sell out pretty fast. We've seen some really quick sellouts. The T4 and I forgot the other one off the top of my head, but I know the T4 sold out super duper fast. So there you go, guys. There is your side-by-side look at the brand new Brous Blades Mini Division up against the original Division. If you guys have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. Jason does read the comments on the videos that I do of his stuff, so if you got a direct question for him, I'm pretty sure he'll be able to answer it. Until next time, I'll see you guys.